Every week, a new band. Brought to you by NZ On Air. Active Live! Yeah.
Kia ora koutou katoa, no mai, haere mai. Welcome to the show. You're here on Active Live, brought to you by our wonderful friends on NZ On Air Music. And I am joined by the wonderful trio that is Anna Woolsey, Rose Blake and Dean Krieg. This is Ida Lune. Kia ora team, thank you so much for being here.
Kia ora. Thank you for having us.
We love having you here. It's been, because it's been a while since we've had you here. Just to clarify, you've been here with People's Coffee in our People's Coffee sessions in about 2020, but this is your first time in the live room, so welcome.
Yeah, it's so lovely.
Oh,
All the lights,
twinkling
glitzy
lights,
glamour.
beauty.
Would expect nothing less from Radioactive.
Oh, we had to bring out all the stops for you guys, you see. It's so lovely having you here, and welcome back to the station as well. So great to have you. It has been a while. Do you want to catch us up on what's been going on since the 2020 release?
Well, there's been a worldwide pandemic.
Adds a slight spanner to the works, doesn't it?
But we have had some quiet time. Writing songs has probably been our main.
That's the zone we're in at the moment.
And we're going to
play
a couple of today, newbies. And we've had a couple of gigs along the way. We've just come from a beautiful retreat we had at Karaka Bay. We had 3 days together. We were sort of refining some songs and
working on new ones, doing all that lovely stuff.
Yeah. Anything
I am
else since
so
2020? Yeah.
I'm so excited. Oh my gosh. That's absolutely amazing. And I've been keen to ask you a bit about what you guys are writing these days. But I've also seen that you're performing at City Gallery next Thursday. That's very exciting. First performance of 2023. It's kind of perfect because this is our first Active Live of 2023. So thank you so much for being here for this.
Yes.
It's fitting, eh?
Yes.
So that's a beautiful open late. It's celebrating the life and work of Joanna Margaret Paul. Aside from performing, what are you most looking forward to at the event?
Oh, that's a hard one. I think the amazing thing about this type of event is there is kind of something for everyone. There's poets who will be like responding to her work. That's like incredibly excited about that. You can even go outside and do some drawing. I've heard. So that's lovely if you're feeling creative.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to actually. I haven't been to the exhibition, so actually just seeing. I've seen stuff online and read a bit about her, but I'm looking forward to actually seeing the stuff in the flesh.
Yeah,
because what I've seen looks beautiful.
Amazing, and it is beautiful. She's such an amazing artist. The Imagine in a context of the room is the exhibition that you're referring to there. Have you taken any inspiration or particular inspiration for some of this new writing you've done from Joanna's work at all?
Oh, actually, no, if we're God honest. But we took inspiration in what we're wearing today.
absolutely true.
I love that, honestly.
Flowers, a hint at her work, that's commenting on her domestic life. I mean...
I think we were just saying, like, it's awesome that this event is on so we can learn more about her work and experience her work. And I think that this could have an impact also on our future writing, just that it's being celebrated. And I think...
And even though we haven't necessarily drawn inspiration, purely because we haven't heard of her before this has come up, but we actually have some... some crossover. Interpreting her work, it's like, some of our material is about the domestic life of a woman in New Zealand, and I think she has comments on that as well. So I think it feels like quite a nice pairing.
And we were also doing some reading about Dan. I don't know if you want to speak to this just a little bit. The vocal, she's quite inspired.
Her youngest son has curated a playlist for this event, and he's a classical pianist. His name has left my mind, but it's online. And so, he's created a playlist based on her musical influences. And there's a lot of vocal music there, which I think is quite exciting. It feels quite special because, we're a heavily vocal arranged band. So that's really exciting to have learned that.
And that connection.
Yeah.
That's gorgeous. And it's beautiful that there is such a connection, a musical connection in her family, and that you guys can help foster that at the event as well. How beautiful.
It's so special.
It's so special. And I do think your music, and forgive me if I'm prescribing something here, but I do think your music has, with the harmonies and the beautiful kind of structures that you bring, has a bit of that similar kind of classical and jazz sort of interpretation and could be interpreted that way as some of the playlist, because I was having a wee listen before. It's really fitting.
Cool.
It is.
Oh,
It does
awesome.
feel quite fitting. Yeah. There's,
Okay.
I think there's a Louis Armstrong piece on there. Edith Piaf.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and Schubert.
A lot of
Yeah.
Sherbet. I hear she was a big Sherbet fan.
Yeah.
Absolutely beautiful. Are you guys fans of Sherbet yourself?
Yeah, I mean,
feel like
think
Rose, you would be there.
Absolutely. I mean, I think for us, obviously, we bring our individual musical experiences. Part of that for me is classical music, even though I'm definitely not singing in a classical style in this band. I think we all bring that, and Anna and Deanne having studied jazz, so can't help but have some of that with us in the music that we write in whatever form that is. Yeah. So definitely. Love it. Love Sherbet.
That's absolutely beautiful. Now, you're no strangers to playing beautiful, atypical gig spaces like a gallery. What is it about these sorts of spaces that you're drawn to, and how is it different from, say, a traditional gig space?
We've played in traditional gig spaces over our time.
We have.
And how do I word this? I think we thrive in a space where people are there to listen rather than to drink and have a great time, which we love that too.
You
but
can also have a drink.
you can
Don't
have a
worry.
drink. Please have a drink
There'll be
if
drinks
there's
there.
drinks. But I think it's hard to compete in a really rowdy gig space vocally
Yeah.
with that.
And I think having atypical venues is like, it's more exciting because it's a bit more unexpected, and it often will change how we'll arrange our set list, or what we'll wear, or who we'll invite, or and it's for me it just makes a gig a bit more exciting than one at your
yeah.
local pub.
I think that your environment directly affects, what you're doing and what you're making and how that's interpreted,
And how
just-
we sound.
and how we
Yes.
sound.
Like
Yeah.
we've performed in a stairwell before, which was like this tiny little stairwell, and people were sort of trying to walk past us at the time, but the sound was
The
beautiful.
resonance was
yeah,
It was
so
lovely.
yeah.
We loved that gig.
yeah.
Gorgeous. And that's the thing about your music, is it needs space to be appreciated and listened to. And I totally understand why in traditional gig formats that might not be given in the same way, That's
Totally. Yeah.
totally understandable. And that's going to be the awesome thing about City Gallery, that huge, big,
Yeah.
beautiful
Yeah.
space.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Luxury.
I'm so
Yes.
looking. It's going to be so much fun. Can we hear one of the songs that you're going to play? Speaking of which,
you
for sure.
can.
what song are we going to hear?
This is called Nobody's Fault But Mine, and it is a cover. We'll do one cover for you today. I came about this song through Nina Simone, but Blind Willie Jackson was the OG. It's like a traditional gospel tune, and we've just whacked it out on the mandolin and smothered some vocals on top.
Ooh.
Enjoy.
I'm so excited.
Nobody's fault but mine. Nobody's fault but mine. If I die and my soul be lost, it's nobody's fault but mine. I had a mother who could pray. I had a mother who could pray. If I die and my soul be lost, it's nobody's fault but mine. I had a mother who could sing. I had a mother who could sing. If I die and my soul be lost, it's nobody's fault but mine.
That is so beautiful. Oh my goodness. I'm not going to cry from your harmonies today. I promised myself this. I promise this to the listeners now too. Thank you so much. For those of you joining, we have the wonderful Ida Lune trio in the live room with us today. Thank you so much for being here. Now, we kind of mentioned this in the beginning, but I know you released your album in 2020, which was a pretty tumultuous time for music makers in general. Yeah. So not to concentrate too much on it, but how have you had to adapt as a band in the face of all of that? And have you found that anything has changed about your processes as a band or as songwriters?
We definitely had planned, well, we're in the process of planning a tour for that album. So I feel like our plan for that got a little derailed, but during that time, we all wrote more music. So now I think we're working towards a second album, or maybe an EP, not quite sure yet.
And in a way that's kind of come from that time as well.
And that's come from that time.
Yeah, so there's benefits.
So there's benefits.
And also I feel like we've slickerized our process in
Yeah,
terms of
we've
like
refined a
sending
bunch.
stems and actually being able to rehearse parts before we come together. Like, yeah, there's been a bit of logistical stuff that has sort of settled from that tumultuous
and
time
we
as
never
well.
really had to worry about that before, but
Yeah.
I think it was important over that time that we were still creative.
Yes.
So even though we never released this, but we like did some covers, if you remember that, like did some recording and send things back and forth, and that was so lovely because I don't think we would have ever have done that. We
Yeah,
just didn't
experiment.
have a
Yeah, it was
need
like
to
someone
do
would
it.
lay a track and then the next person would
Yeah.
add a harmony. Then it was like sort of this kind of cycle of sending around the recordings and
Yeah.
adding layers, and that was cool. That was a cool
Yeah.
experience.
That's beautiful, and really speaks to you all that you're able to adapt that way as creators too. I really admire that. And speaking of which, you are all extremely busy creatives in various capacities. You know, you work in many different facets of the creative industries. How do you find balancing this project with the other works that you do?
Ooh, good one. That's an interesting question.
Well,
Yeah.
I love that we're not. None of us are relying on this for our income.
Yes.
For us,
Yeah.
it's still
Yeah.
it's still an act of love, and it's like incredibly therapeutic to harmonize with friends, and to actually, like this is as much about a social thing for us as it is
As
a
friendship,
musical. Like to get together.
Make some
More than
food
half of
and-
our rehearsals are always chatting, catching up, eating, and so I think that that's a really important part of work-life balance and the life side. And because we all do work in different creative industries, we're often sympathising with situations that we're in, I think,
Yes. Yes.
and can be soundboarding things off each other. And
Yeah.
That's a really interesting way of putting it. I really love the idea of, keeping the love alive for the project and intentionally keeping love alive, because it can be a bit of a slog sometimes to keep feeling that same passion you feel for what you do. So I really admire that you guys do that. That's an awesome thing to do.
I think studying for me at the end of that, having that was my full-time focus for those 3 years. Definitely I felt burnout at the end of that and didn't feel the love for a time, and it's actually when I found these guys, and that's when it sort of the rebirth happened. The rebirth of the love. But yeah, I think that that's, and you didn't really get taught that at music school, that this is something to expect, that it's not and for some people, yes, they do have that passion drive, like non-stop all the time, but for lots of people, you also don't. So
I
yeah.
really relate to that. Same when I finished my degree. Like this was a really healing project, and I think that's also why, like we've been talking about, why it's continued on, because it's like a very meaningful thing to us. Of course, we love doing gigs and we love doing all of that stuff, but even just sitting in a living room singing together is equally as enjoyable as well and important to us.
Yeah.
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 For sure.
That's so lovely. Does that then lend itself to the songwriting process you go through, that kind of candid or intimate quality that you have? How do you translate that into a song you then share with the world?
Good question. I think it does. I mean, the intimacy of our musical connection it means that we can be more vulnerable with each other, and therefore, if we're vulnerable sharing a song with each other, then we're more likely to be able to share it with other people as well. So I think, for sure, I've been in bands previously where I would never bring something of my own to there because I would be petrified of reactions of people in the room, and so. Creating a safe space between us, we're all incredibly supportive and massive fans of each other's work.
Yeah.
That means that we are more likely to share, vulnerable sides of ourselves, which often the songs are about vulnerable
They
shiz.
can be
Yeah.
vulnerable. It's true.
It's beautiful that you let your audience in on that vulnerability. I really admire that. And now I know you all have. I don't want to speak for all of you, but I know you do have solo projects in our midst. How do you know which project you're writing for?
Great questions. Oh my goodness. How do you know? I think for me personally, having like 3-part harmony is just, I mean, it's amazing, and you can't do that solo. You could, but you'd have backing tracks. And I personally don't find singing with myself as enjoyable as singing with other beautiful voices with different timbre. And I think it's just such a colourful palette to work with. So, I mean, writing for this band is just so delicious.
Delicious. Oh, I love that word.
And yeah, I think that's how I know. I'm like, oh, this tune I need to hear Rose's voice here. I need to hear Anna's deep warmth here. So I think that's, for me personally, that's when I know.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
How about
For me, my other solo project is literally just being a mum and creating little stupid songs for my son. So that's how I
Why are you
draw the
not
line.
ringing these?
Is this a
Where are these
lullaby?
songs?
Could this be something more?
We could have a whole
Easy
children's
distinction for
album
me.
by now.
That's amazing. Anytime you want to do an active live with your son, just let us know.
I'm sure he'll be rocking your airways one day. Yeah.
Similar to what Deanne said, the other day I did actually bring a song that I was unsure about, and I played it, and it was clear that it wasn't for this band, and I think I knew that, but it had just been sitting there, and I needed to play it for you guys, and so that was a really interesting experience, because as we sat there and listened to it, I was like, yeah, this is not for this band.
And
It just
sometimes,
isn't.
sometimes band like Oil Bell, there have been songs
Yeah.
that have started out for solo projects and then made it
Yes.
into.
Yes.
And then it feels
to
right
Ida
to come
Lune.
into the
Yeah.
space. Yeah, so it can change.
Mm.
Yeah.
Amazing. Yeah, I suppose it definitely depends on sort of how you feel about the song at the time as well, I can imagine, which is
Yeah,
balancing
where you
act.
see it going. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Oh, that's gorgeous. Can we have another song, speaking of which?
We can.
Yes, please.
Wonderful. What have we got coming up?
Sorry, hello. Just getting a guitar. This is called, I guess it's called What Then? Is that the name?
Is this a
That's
new
the
one?
name?
That's what we write on the
That's
set
what we-
list.
Yeah.
It's newer. We have played it before, but it's one of our newest songs. So I guess we'll do it. Okay.
Looking forward to it.
Sorry, I'll just get a bit more comfy. They say that she's moving on, facing the same old fears that I see every time that I look in your eyes. But you say that you can't feel the way that others feel when it's happening. I'm looking past everyone, but I can't find the end. But what if I hit the ground? What then? I'm up, but I'm also down. What then? What then? What then? What then? Ooh. It's not like it was before. To make and unmake it's easy. We're moving in closer. I feel the disguise. When it's gone, then it's gone all the time. But I see that there's no choice. We're talking and listening, talking past everyone, but you can't see the sign. It's not right right when it's right all the time. But what if I hit the ground? What then? I'm up, but I'm also down. What then? What then? What then? What then? They say that she's moving on, facing the same old fears that I see every time that I look in your eyes.
That is just beautiful. Oh my goodness. Thank you so much. For those of you just joining us, we have the wonderful trio Ida Lune here with us today in the Active Live room. It's wonderful having you guys here, and thank you so much for playing a new song. Oh my goodness. Very
no
exciting. So I've seen a little bit online. Obviously, we've talked a little bit about new music. When can we expect it? Do you have a game plan or kind of a release plan going on?
I think we're definitely still in the midst of like writing and creating, so we're not putting like a time pressure on it. I think this is definitely the year to like formulate all of those songs, and then I think a big part of the next stage of that is kind of figuring out how we want to record it and how we want to record our vocals and booking in some studio time and all that kind of stuff. So I think we're still in that like writing phase is what I would say. I don't know, what do you guys think?
Beautiful.
Yeah.
And tell us a bit about that songwriting process that you're on currently. How has it differed in any way from your self-titled album? Is there kind of a difference in that? Obviously, the pandemic may or may not have something to do with it. We've sort of discussed, but any other kind of things you can think of?
I definitely think so. Rose and I are in a band called Dawn Diver, and we have been playing more and more synth in that band, and I think that's just sneaking into some Ida Lune stuff now. And that's, so I think that's actually quite a dramatic change.
That's exciting because both of your solo projects have a relative amount of synth in them too. Wim and Blake, they're both very synthy in my mind too, as well as the harmonies. That's amazing seeing that come into this project too.
Yeah,
We're
totally.
bringing in, but in an Ida Lune way and sound, I think.
Yeah, they're all miniature synths, and they're all very simple lines, which it just adds nice layers, I think, to the bass that we've already got. It's like, and just the flexibility the synth brings is pretty awesome.
The ambience of it all adds so much. And speaking of which, you have such incredible instruments here already. We've seen a mandolin, a beautiful guitar, and your beautiful harmonies. How do you choose to arrange what you arrange? Because you're all multi-instrumentalists in different ways. Tell us why you decide to use what you use.
For me, I write everything on a guitar, no matter where the song goes. So I think it feels natural to use the guitar for me to start out with, and maybe like we'll arrange some vocal parts around it, and then if I feel like the song needs a little bit of an extra thing at some point, that's when you start thinking about different textures and like the different sounds instruments can make. And because everyone here is pretty multi-instrumental, there's a big palette of sounds to choose from. So maybe, I don't know.
No. I know, I completely agree with you. I think it depends what you pick up as well. So I don't have it with me today, but often I play the banjo, so sometimes things begin there.
Yes, last time you were here, we had a lovely visit from your banjo. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, we're very stripped back today. I miss my banjo. But I guess sometimes every now and then something might start out on the banjo and then it kind of moves away from that direction and it might become guitar and synth or whatever. But I think the more we get into the song and we can start to hear like the palette and the what feels right for it, and it can change. But often we'll bring something that's written on a specific instrument, won't we? And sometimes we'll arrange that together when it comes. or sometimes we've got like specific parts, so it can change. Yeah.
And a couple of our songs from the first album are a cappella, and that I think both of them were written by me. And at the beginning of Ida Lune, I felt really unconfident on any type of instrumentation, and so both of them I sort of wrote a little bit jokingly, just as little ditties. And so literally it was from a lack of ability that they started out a cappella, thinking that was my strength was vocal, so I could do a little bit of harmony. And and I definitely still don't feel like I'm strong in instruments, but I'm growing so that now I can,
I think you're right.
I can,
Just
I can start something with a Mandy or Madeline or but that's why some of them are a cappella. But even still now that I feel a little bit more comfortable on an instrument, I'd still give it a whack to do a good a cappella. I think it's a nice challenge.
And I think a cappella really, that's something I really loved about your first album is those tracks were just as strong and had just as much, to them as all of the other tracks that had instrumentation behind them as well. I think they aren't losing anything for that, if you know what I mean, which can be very hard to do. As a cappella can be a really hard thing to pull off, right?
Yeah, and they're fun. Like a cappella is quite fun to get the harmony of the song to come through the vocals. I like that challenge as well.
Can we expect any more a cappella coming in the future?
Well, you're going to hit one soon.
Should we do it next?
We could do it
We
next.
could do it next.
Do you want to do it now?
We could do it
Okay.
now.
I'm too excited. I can't wait.
Just a little one.
And then
All right.
Beautiful.
This song is it's called "You Don't Deserve a Song from Me," and it's best. Just while I get the note, it's best if you imagine somebody in your head who's a massive douche, and
I love
just kind of manifest them while you're
Yes.
listening to this.
Sometimes when we're angry, this is a great one to
This
just.
is a good one when we had a really noisy crowd at a pub. We
just
were like,
get,
let's do that one.
Yes.
it's good.
Amazing. I can't wait to hear it. I'll visualize something in my mind.
You don't deserve a song from me, but better off a melody than firing back with a curse, or better yet worse, you're not worth losing face, my friend, if that's what you are. No other friend of mine takes quite so much time to render a one-word reply. You don't deserve a song from me, but better off a melody than firing back with a curse, or better yet worse, you're not worth losing face.
Such scathing lyrics and such a beautiful sound. It's such a juxtaposition, eh? Oh, that's awesome. Thank you so much for performing that. So, obviously, the City Gallery is the big, exciting gig coming up.
Yes.
Are there any more gigs on the horizon that we should be chatting about as well?
Yes, Performance Arcade is our next one, and the date has gone from my brain.
Late February.
Yes.
Late
Yes.
February.
Wonderful.
Fun, we're performing. Performing in the afternoon, late February. Performance Arcade, Waterfront.
Oh, that'll be gorgeous. Have you done many outdoor gigs like that before?
Yeah, we've done Performance Arcade. We've done Botanical Gardens. We've performed in a cemetery.
We have.
Bulcott. Bulcott's, that's what it's called, isn't it? Bulcott Cemetery.
Yes.
Yep.
That was part of the Lucid Dream Bike tour. That was an original performance.
We had like a single file coming out from behind some trees at like 9 p.m. at night. As people were arriving, we single file made our
Sort of
way.
appeared.
Out of the
from
trees,
darkness.
singing.
They're so angelic and crazy. That would
Or
feel like
ghostly.
a fever dream.
Very
Yeah.
ghostly.
Hence Lucid Dream Bike.
Yeah.
Yeah, that felt quite unique because that people were above us. There were like tiered stairs, and so we were sort of in the graveyard,
We
and
were
people were
standing
looking
next
down
to a
on
pit
us.
of bodies.
Yeah, we were.
Yeah, it was quite.
Yeah,
Yeah,
a
it was.
was
surreal
surreal.
experience, definitely.
Can imagine.
Didn't foresee that coming.
I do have to say, your music lends to surrealism. I think it adds a touch of the harmonies. It has to be, but it adds to I can imagine that working well in a space like that. That's beautiful. What is your favourite thing about performing live?
Oh my goodness.
Ooh, favorite thing. I don't know if there is one favorite thing.
It's hard to define.
Yeah, I think what's really special about live performance is you are like feeding off the audience around you and the environment like we were talking about before, and that's just something you can't create on your own. You know, like there is a experience of community in that and sharing something with each other, and I think the City Gallery event is like that as well. People are coming together to share something, and I think music can do that and live performance can do that. So there's no feeling like it. You also don't know what's going to happen. You know, sometimes you're having a great time, sometimes you're not, and it's nothing you do. You just have to go. You're just there.
Ride the wave.
You know,
it is a great
ride the wave. And you're going to move forward no matter what. And I think there's something special in that.
Definitely the aspect of like growth and grow. Like it's a nerve-wracking thing to put yourself out there in front of people. Is anyone going to come? Are people going to listen? You know, are we going to play the right tunes and things? And so that's like all of that leads to good life lessons, you know, and it makes you stronger. And if you stuff up, that's kind of great.
I think we're also here together, like just doing that new song. If I'm completely honest, I started and I was like, oh my goodness, and I'm playing the guitar and then when we got through it, I was like, oh, we're together and we're singing and that's, but like I was like, we're fine and you guys are here and like, but I love that experience about live performance. I think it's like really special.
It's teamwork.
It's teamwork.
It's like playing a sport, but not. I don't like sports.
We have to run.
I love it. It's
And also a great little. I love a little when you're doing a live performance, seeing someone unexpected in the crowd. Like I just love those little like surprises that you can get. That just the unexpected little pops of joy that you can get from live performance.
It's a beautiful statement. Pops of joy. I love that. How gorgeous. And now, as the final question today, is there anything you'd like people to take away from the City Gallery performance? Or what do you hope people take away is probably a better way of phrasing that.
I mean,
I hope that they just take away a good experience, that they have an enjoyable evening, and that they feel that they've learned something or gained something, and that they take our social media handles. And then I don't even know if that's what you call it.
I love that you're saying that. I don't even know.
I don't.
I think, I mean, like we were saying before, like it just seems like such a unique experience and there's so much creativity in it, you know, listening to poetry, looking at art, like learning about an artist. I think even if you don't know the artist, it will be a special event to learn about, and then music and sharing that. So yeah, just taking in that experience. Yes. I don't know.
That is gorgeous, and I'm sure people will definitely be taking the experience in a beautiful way because it is going to be such a beautiful experience. Thank you so much for joining us today. As the final song, what have we got?
Yeah, this is probably the newest song that we're playing today. It's sort of a commentary on an old song that I first brought to the band many years ago. And it's the same chords but different lyrics and a different melody. So
if you want to listen to the
original,
to the new song now, but if you want to listen to the old song, it's on Spotify and all platforms. It's called Transparent. But yes, this is the response. So now you know
to that.
How feeling about it all these years later.
And crazily, it's called Takes Two, and it's like take two of the song.
Very clever.
Yeah.
Gosh, how full circle. That's beautiful. I can't wait to hear it.
How is the tuning? Is that?
How much of yourself do you have to give? How much time can you lend? We can make a masterpiece if you want all in. It takes takes two to make it something. It takes two to make it last. Convince me that you see this for what it is. Are you ready to open up? Are you cowering? I'm here and willing. I'm showing up. It takes two to make it something. It takes two to make it last. And it takes to keep it burning. It's not divine.
You gotta work hard.
Make it something. It takes two to make it last. It takes two to make it something.
That is just gorgeous. Hey, thank you so much for being here, Deanne, Anna, and Rose. Ida Lune, thank you so much for being in the live room for us today. That was an absolute treat, and I made it through without crying, which I'm very surprised at, to be honest.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
And catch these guys next Thursday at the Tuatara Open Late at the wonderful City Gallery, along with our wonderful Maggie Tweedy, who'll be hosting her occasional book club there, and a whole bunch of beautiful poets as well. It's going to be such a beautiful evening.
Thanks so much for having us. Thanks for your good,
you.
good juicy questions.
Thanks for answering
Thanks,
so
lovely.
beautifully.
Active Live. Friday, 3:30. Every week a new band. In studio. Brought to you by NZ On Air.